Incoming transmission.
Hey everybody, this is Ed with Boosting the Signal, and this week my guest in preparation for one of the biggest days in comic books, Free Comic Book Day, is Vernon Smith. How are you doing, Vernon?
I'm doing awesome. Thanks. How are you doing?
Not too bad, not too bad. I'm glad to see you wearing that Lower Deck shirt there. I love that artwork, the Jaws homage that you did. That was what, issue 9 was that?
Yeah, that was my first one.
That was a really good one. I was gonna say my wife and I were big Jaws fans around here, and when I saw that, I was like, okay, I gotta get that. And it didn't matter if you were gonna be an incentive cover or if you were gonna be A, B, C. Didn't matter. I had to have that cover,
Yeah,
and
there's
that was
time for the 50th anniversary of Jaws too.
yeah, well timed, well timed. So Vernon, I think most people know you as an artist for IDW's Lower Decks comics, beginning with issue 9. I know you did 9 and 10 back to back, and you've done a few here and there. Even 17, I do believe you did most recently. And 18? Did you do
Yeah,
18? Yeah.
actually, after 9 and 10, I then did 13 through 18.
Oh,
So
okay. All right.
the
Yeah,
whole,
I knew they were in there.
yeah. And it's like one complete story, those 6 issues, and it'll also be the third collected trade paperback. Uh, also technically graphic novel since it's like a standalone story.
Yeah. The one thing about the Lower Decks line, I was very like when it's come to Star Trek comics, I have pretty much stuck with buying trade paperbacks most recently in the last couple of years because it just got to the point where like, okay, it was easier for me to wait until they were collected. But then when Lower Decks was announced, I didn't want that to go away. I was worried that that was going to go away, and I'm like, I'm going to buy each one individually, and I've done that. And then I wasn't seeing any trade paperbacks announced, and I'm like, is this going to even happen? Maybe it was a good idea, but
Yeah.
I'm glad to see those are coming out now.
Yeah.
Um, you are an artist by trade, but I'm curious, has art always been your love and what brought you in like to what you wanted to do in life?
Yeah, pretty much as long as I can recall, I've been drawing. I've got like the first comic book that I ever drew in first grade, um, which I there were 2 copies of that, and mine got Katrina'd because I'm from New Orleans, and luckily my mom had one too, so I was able to get that back. And then like in elementary school, me and a couple of friends of mine would draw comics. It was mostly like comic strips type stuff. And also just like we had because like we created our own characters and then we would also draw like those characters in a band like as Kiss or something like performing just copying like images from like my Kiss Alive records and stuff like that. And yeah, and then kept doing that in high school. Like, found a buddy of mine who got me into like skateboarding and punk music and stuff, and was also into comic books. And so, like, I was getting into that around that time too, like 8th grade. And then we would just like do comic books back and forth throughout high school. And yeah, just kind of stuck with it. I'd pull back every now and then, like if I was concentrating on school or the extracurricular activities of school, um, mostly partying, not educationally wise. And yeah, then kind of got back into it in my mid to late 20s, but focusing more on indie self-published comics. Because like I liked coming up with ideas and putting them out too. And so yeah, that's kind of what I was doing for probably about like 10 years before I got on with IDW.
When doing research on you, I had seen that you had self-published a comic about Frankenstein, and tried looking for it, but I couldn't find anything. I was gonna look into that a little bit more. Could you
Yeah,
tell us about that?
yeah, that was Bigfoot Frankenstein. And that was actually an indie comic through Action Lab Entertainment, but I don't think they're around anymore. And that was like around 2020 that came out. So a good time in the world to try and put out comics when people aren't going to comic shops. But it actually came out like right after COVID, if I recall correctly. And yeah, that was me and the writer Mark Bertolini, who's done a bunch of other indie comics and is still doing stuff. And yeah, he just friended me on Facebook, and I was like, the name sounded familiar, and I looked him up, and I was like, oh yeah, I've actually got an anthology that he did from. It was like a Kickstarter from this indie publisher, Comics Tribe. And yeah, he hit me up and he's like, yeah, I've got this idea for a book that, I think your art would be cool with. And he said Bigfoot Frankenstein. And I'm like, dude, just from the name, I would. But yeah, that was like a 5 issue miniseries, then collected into a trade paperback, and it's like the story of the great, 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 whole lot of greats grandson of Dr. Frankenstein, who's hiking through the woods one day and comes across a pile of dead Bigfoots. So he stitches parts of them together, harnesses the power of lightning, creates a new best pal, and they hit the road trying to figure out who's killing all the big feet.
And I have to, I'm gonna have to track that one down. That sounds really interesting.
Yeah.
I'm all about independent comics. Especially around that time period, it was very important for comic shops to get the support that they needed as much as possible.
Yeah.
With not being open, I know our local shop itself would do live sales online and then ship them to people.
Yeah, I've seen like some of the individual issues and maybe the trade paperbacks like pop up on eBay, but like it was through Diamond, but now Diamond's not around anymore. And I don't know if Action Lab's around anymore. And I've got like one copy, so I can't even be like, well, just come to my store because
Yeah.
I've got a few of the random issues, but I don't think I even have all 5 of them. So yeah, I need to get my hands on them too.
Yeah,
So
it's amazing. I never thought there'd be a time where we would say that Diamond didn't exist.
right.
Because, yes,
And
but yeah,
that's like, I got like when I did first start self-publishing, it was through Diamond, and that was like getting on with a publisher. Like you couldn't just be like, "Hey, I've got a book, put it out," and they'd be like, "Cool." Like you had to submit it to them and have like you know an action plan or something like with how you're going to do it, how often it was going to be, the format, the story. Like you had to pitch it as if they were a publisher.
yeah.
Because I had one book before that get turned down, and I'd like actually printed up like a couple of thousand copies of it because I was like,
Oh.
I'm gonna show I'm professional and I'm serious about this. And they're like, no, we're good. And I'm like, awesome.
Now, when we talk about submitting ideas, here's a good question. You had your first Star Trek story with issue 500, Star Trek issue 500 for IDW. Was this something that was pitched to you, or did you pitch your story idea within that comic?
No, they hit me up about it. I'd met Heather Antos, who's like the editor.
Okay.
She's the supervising group editor, and at the time she was also like the main editor at Star Trek. And I met her at a local fan expo here, and I went up, talked to her, showed her some art, and like real quick stuff because it's like she didn't really check out stuff at conventions. And I'd done one of the things I showed was like I'd recently done a Turtles cover for like their Halloween issue,
I
and it was
remember seeing that. I've seen pictures you've actually posted of you at conventions, and you'd had it up on your on in your booth. Because I'm guilty of doing the zoom in so I can see things, and I saw that and it caught my attention. I'm a Turtles guy.
I do, yeah, okay, I do have one here. It's this cover where let's see, all right.
That's
Um
awesome.
they're like trick-or-treating at Shredder's house. And yeah, so like and that was like the home screen on my iPad. So I was like, yeah, so I've got this too. And so it's just like showing real quick and chatted with her a little bit over the course of the weekend, and then was just like so how would someone that you met at a convention keep in touch with you? And she told me, just like hit her up every so often. And took probably about like 6 months or so, it was like I sent in some stuff, like some samples to show what I could do. And then one day I was like going out to a camping trip and I'd sent some stuff off and she'd responded like during the 3 hour drive out into the middle of the woods, asking if I could like resend some of the sample pages that I did. And so I did that, and she had asked, and I'd also been like, hey, if you've got any sample scripts, let me, I'd love to take a crack at them. So she sent me some pages. I did some stuff just to show what I could do, show how fast I could do it, show I could like respond to edits and stuff like that. And yeah, and then she was like, "Can you do likenesses of these characters, like a couple of the characters from Strange New Worlds?" And so I'm just sitting there like up till 2 in the morning, like on a camping trip, knocking out renditions of like Jim and Sam Kirk and La'an from Strange New Worlds. And and yeah, and she and the other editor, Cass, were like, I'd like to offer you a 5 page story in Star Trek 500 for Strange New Worlds. And I was
That's
like,
awesome.
yeah, it's not a first issue, but it's also it is like a special standalone issue,
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, come in on, issue 9 or something. Which I
That,
was happy to get on that with Lower Decks. Like that was just making fun of myself on that one. But yeah, and so then did the pages for that, and then they announced that they were going to be doing a Lower Decks series not too long after that, and that it was going to be like every couple of issues. I'm sorry, I'm just kind of rambling here.
no, no,
Um,
you're fine. You're telling me everything I want to hear.
okay, cool, cool. Uh, so yeah, a few months later, I saw that they'd announced that they were going to be doing a Lower Decks ongoing series because they'd done like one or two miniseries before that.
Well,
Uh,
they did like, I don't even think it was 6 issues. They had done the standalone, maybe it was 6 issues, but they put it out and then it was like there was a good 8 months after that where there was nothing.
yeah,
And I thought that was it. I thought it just got canceled. I remember that. I do remember that.
yeah, I remember there was like a Dracula holodeck one that was like a 3 issue thing, and they might have done
Yeah.
one. And they hadn't done the Warp Your Own Way book yet, I don't think. Maybe that was like just about to come out.
Yeah,
Uh,
that's really good too. That was a good one. That
yeah,
was a neat. I hadn't seen a Find Your Own Adventure book in years.
yeah. I was like, God, I wish I would have got on that. Like that would have been cool. Um, but yeah, so I saw that the ongoing thing was going to be like a different artist every 2 issues. Whoops. I apologize.
That's fine.
I lost my mic. Uh,
Oh, I could still hear you.
okay. Uh, the magic of editing.
I was worried that I was going to have bad internet during this. I was setting up and it kept telling me my internet was unstable. So I went out and I restarted all my routers and
Oh yeah.
everything else. I was like, okay, I don't want to have any issues. I don't want to have any problems. But it's happened. I've been cut off. I've had to splice episodes because of internet. So,
Oh, I just lost your audio.
oh,
Whoops.
did you?
I
Well,
can
I
barely
am
hear you.
still.
Maybe I'll un on my end.
Yeah, as I say,
How
you
about now?
sound fine here.
When I plugged this in, I lost your audio. Like I can barely hear. I apologize for this.
No, it's okay. It allows us to have this entertaining moment. I'll keep talking so you can resolve the audio issues on your end. Yeah, like when it comes to the lower decks ongoings, I think it's interesting. I like knowing that it was every couple issues, like you got 2 issues and then back and forth, because I did start noticing it was changing. Like the artist would change, and I was like, okay, and I would think to myself, okay, so is Vernon not doing it anymore? And
Right.
everything else. But that's good information to have.
I God, I can barely hear you. I'm sorry. I'm trying to figure out what I did on here.
Your volume went down on you as well.
Let me see if I can.
Let's see if this was Star Trek, we'd have put Geordi on it. He'd fix it.
Volume cannot be lowered due to iOS.
Or maybe Uhura. Uhura would do communications.
What's that?
Oh, I was saying, if we're having communications issues, we should have Uhura and have her get a hold
Right?
of it. She can fix everything. I hear you fine now.
God, I don't know what, like why it
Check your
just,
speaker. Maybe your volume is down.
yeah, I'm hitting the volume on my device and it says that it's full volume, but
You're coming through loud and clear.
okay. Yeah, I just don't want to not be able to
How
hear
about
you.
now? Anything changed for you?
No.
Okay.
Oh well, I'll just turn off some background noise and see if I can hear
I see
better.
your reel to reel that you've got back there. 13 channel, I'd assume.
What's that?
Oh, on your reel to reel, is that 13 track reel to reel or?
Um, I thought reel-to-reels were 4 tracks. I have no idea.
Well, I've seen 13 tracks. I've seen them. I didn't know how many you had on there, but
Oh yeah, no, it's just a standard little TAC reel-to-reel player.
I love it. That was the first thing I ever listened to music on.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I got a whole 70s stereo thing set up there.
Yeah, well, I didn't have unfortunately I didn't get Katrina as you would say, but like we had a really bad flood and a basement of ours. I lost all of my stereo equipment about 16 years ago that I had. When I was a kid, one of the first things I ever did was save up to buy my own stereo equipment,
Yeah.
and I tell you that was a terrible day. That was a loss.
Yeah.
So, but you
Oh
got a
man.
nice setup. I like it.
Yeah. Thanks. Yeah. Um. Oh yeah. So the lower decks. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So it was like going to be changing every. I don't know if we're editing or just putting the whole thing on there. I'm fine either way. But yeah. So it was going to be like every 2 issues, it was going to change up, and so I cranked out a couple of pages, sent those in, and was like, okay, I can do this style too. And I know they were set for like the first 6 issues, and then one day, got an email from them again saying like, you want to do issues 9 and 10? And I was like, absolutely. And that was, yeah, that I couldn't believe it. I was like working on, you know, two of the current shows that were going on because I don't think Prodigy was on anymore, and Discovery might have ended by then too. I'm not sure.
And yeah, that would have been well, 2024 was your Strange New Worlds for issue 500.
Yeah,
Depending on when you started working on it, you might have had Discovery on at that time.
right.
But by the time it came out, yeah, it was over with.
Yeah,
Um, and then yeah, Lower Decks. Well, well, yeah, Lower Decks would have been over with by issue 9 and 10.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and yeah, and then they were like, hey, we love working with you. Do you want to do 13 through 18? I'm like, absolutely. Like you don't never have to ask me. Just send me scripts, and I will always work on Star Trek. Like it's my number one fandom, has been like my entire life. So I like if I could just draw Star Trek forever, I'd be cool with that.
Well, that brings me to my next question. What is your Star Trek story? I mean, what brought you into the Star Trek universe?
Um, I've been in it before I even got into it. Like I remember having motion picture figures when I was in like kindergarten and didn't even know what it was. And my parents took me to see Wrath of Khan when I was in like first or second grade, and I was hooked, and like I don't know if it was to kind of promote the movie, but they had also just started showing reruns of the original series on TV, so I was watching those after school and getting into everything. And yeah, the movies like that just every couple of years when they'd come out, I'd go and see them. Usually with my parents. For Star Trek 5, I was actually just like taking a bus home and passed by the theater and was like, yeah, I'll go see that.
There you
So I
go.
just like went and saw it by myself. And I would like make my own Star Trek comics and stuff like when I was in high school. Like I had my own crew that I made up that were like on the Excelsior and stuff, doing their own adventures. And yeah, like I even went to a Star Trek convention when I was a kid and also met Shatner at a car show when I was a kid, like my mom took me to. So it's and like when Next Gen premiered, like the whole family sat around TV and watched it. Like even like building up to it, it was like, what's this? Like I remember like seeing the ads for it, and I was like, oh, I wonder if like because I just saw like an image of Picard and was like, I wonder if he's like a Deltan, like the bald people from the
Oh,
motion
that
picture.
good
Um,
thinking. I never would have even thought that.
yeah, because I guess part of me just didn't want to have like some old bald guy being the captain because that would suck, right? Um, but yeah, so it's just always been in my life, you know. Like I used to read the DC comics when I was a kid. Like I really like those. And those are kind of like taking place around the time of like Star Trek 3 and Star Trek 4. Like they
Yeah.
wove the story of the movies like into the comics and like Admiral Kirk commanding the Excelsior and stuff. Yeah, it was
It
really
was
cool.
almost
I
like an
did
oh,
I
oh I'm sorry.
missed DS9 and Voyager when they were airing
Oh,
because I
really?
didn't have cable at the time and my TV couldn't pick up the UPN network that had it. But I remember like seeing the billboards and was like, oh, I want to see that. And like I'd pick up TV Guide and like read about, the 7 to 9 person and um just the stuff that was going on. But then like when Enterprise came out, like I watched that and it wasn't until like years later when I was working at a comic shop and they had Netflix, so I just like caught like I did pick up DS9 every now and I remember like watching bits of the last season and then the finale and I was like, wow, they wrapped that up like really good.
Yeah.
And but yeah, whenever I like years later worked in a comic shop that had Netflix, I just like caught up on Deep Space Nine and Voyager, and then like did a rewatch of Enterprise, um, and I was like one of the people that actually like really liked Enterprise when it was airing. Like I did not understand the hate on the show,
Yeah, same here.
um, but
The
yes,
uh the DC comics that you were talking about, you're right. There was like an alternate universe. Yeah, and the artists at the time had no idea what was going to happen in the next film. So, I love looking back at those, and it was, you know, Kirk got the Excelsior, which could have happened,
yeah,
and that was great. And it seemed like every couple of issues, Kirk was on trial for pissing off some
right.
alien race. But
and but it was cool how like they like they had Spock like captaining the Surak and but then like they got a virus and so like that's what kind of messed his mind up and like reset him back to like the end of Search for Spock
yeah,
brain, like kind of being out of it, which led into like the voyage home. Like it was pretty cool how they were able to like have this whole thing like in between then and yeah, and then stealing the bird of prey and going back to Vulcan and then that's why they were going to be on trial. Yeah, I don't know. It was pretty neat the way they were able to do that.
they're good ones. And then the one thing that didn't even like I never caught on to like who the artists were and stuff like that. And then finding out later on in life, you would find out like, oh, Peter David did this one. Maybe
Yeah,
he wrote this or this artist did this one.
yeah.
And it's like, and I look at him, I go, man, this is gold. I never realized I had gold, but It's really good, especially like you do research for like I like to post. I have a real affinity. I want to share like when someone has a birthday, and if I see like oh okay I'll see the birthday and I'll go I don't remember them doing something in Star Trek, and you
Right.
find out oh it was a comic book back in '86. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's great. I the one thing I wanted to ask you about issue like well obviously we talked about issue 9 your homage to Jaws. And then more recently, with issue 18, you did your lower or your on lower decks. You did your undiscovered country homage, which I absolutely loved. I remember sending you what I had done as well,
Yeah.
and because I love that you're continuing on like we the one thing I loved about lower decks was every season it was like their poster key art would be a representation of a different movie, so we didn't get
Yeah.
to see 6, 7, 8, 9 on onward. I love
Yeah.
that. But how did when it comes to your covers, are you given any type of free reign to come up with that, or do you have to or is it a mandate?
Um, so it's a little bit of both. Like they'll be like, yeah, come up with some ideas, pitch some stuff like what you think, 'cause like, going with the writer, like they would be like, here's what this is going to be about. Like 9 and 10 is going to be about Tendi dealing with these like Ferengi loan sharks. So I was like, oh, okay, sharks, Jaws. How could I do that? Um, and I that was the only one like that I'd done. There were a few that were like some homage covers to like just old comic books from that I liked when I was a kid, and was like, oh, let me do a little self-serving thing there. And then it's like they'll look at them, they'll pick the ones, and I think sometimes like they might run it past Paramount too. Yeah, no, they do, and it's like it's just kind of a general consensus on like what everyone likes the
Right.
most, like and yeah, some like the Space Invaders one for issue 17, it was like we were just kind of emailing back and forth, and then someone was like, "Are we doing a Space Invaders cover on this?" And I was like, "Yeah, I could do that." So like that was not even one I came up with, but I was like, "All right, I mean, I'm familiar with the game, obviously, with as old as I am, and was like, yeah, I could totally do that, and just fitting in little elements of the game and the explosion, the little pixelated explosion of the ships, and fitting in the different types of alien ships to match up with the variations that I did of the different aliens' heads and stuff. Um, so yeah, it is like a lot of back and forth. Like sometimes it'll be more of a suggestion from editorial, sometimes like from the writer, sometimes from me. Like it's really collaborative, and it's not always just like one person deciding, you know.
Hmm.
Um, because there've been ones that like I wanted that got done. There are some that I wanted to do that were like, yeah, no, not so much. And I'm like, all right, cool. And then like hell, the Jaws one wasn't even the one I was like pushing the
Really?
most, and I'm glad that that's the one that got picked, because it's like it's super cool, and a lot of people love it like that. And that thing like sold out insanely quick. Like I
Yeah.
was like at a convention, and I sold out the first or second day of it, and I'm calling shops like in the area, and everyone's like, no, we don't have any. And so I'm like still like I had one copy like on my table, and like people come around, I'm like, I know I've got some more at home, so if you want to like pre-order it, and we can like settle up whenever I get home. And then I get home and I'm like, oh God, no, I brought all of them with me, so I'm having to like go on eBay because like the distributor doesn't have any more, like they're just like gone.
Wow.
um and so yeah, that was a good call on that on that
Yeah.
cover.
I always tell people you got to have a pull list. Get yourself a pull list at
Yeah,
your local comic shop because, like, for you, I appreciate on your social channels you post when you have specific covers coming out because, like I've said before, if it's an incentive cover or whatever the case may be. Like there are other artists that I specifically go for. Like we talked about Sean Von Gorman previous to this
Right.
podcast. Like when Sean would have like, oh, you went dark on me for a
Oh,
second there.
sorry.
Okay, but like with Sean, I have a Last Starship behind me that he did for New York Comic Con.
Oh,
And
cool.
I feel like I knew I wanted to have, like, sure, I was getting that comic, but I wanted to have his cover, but it was only at New York City Comic Con. So
Oh, yeah.
I had to send a representation to get it for me. But,
Yeah.
so like yours, like I'm always happy when you let me know where they're going to be. So like, okay, if it's going to be A, that's standard in my pool list. I'm going to get A. But if you
Yeah.
end up becoming an incentive, then I'm going to be buying 75 issues off my local shop so that I
Right.
can get it. And that happens from time to time with people. But
Yeah.
yeah, I'm glad to see people love them. I love the comic. I think they're really great. They're great. There's the one thing, and I don't want to sound weird, and I don't know if anybody will understand this, but like the artwork on Lower Decks is consistent. Be it you or whoever else is drawing, it's very consistent. You can there are elements I can tell when it's you. I can, but yet at the same time, it's a constant flow, and I love that about it. Whereas like with um, I really liked your Strange New Worlds that you did for 500,
Thanks.
and I like the Strange New Worlds that they did for like oh, what was the last one? It's not even done yet, or just
Oh,
finished. It
the
just finished.
the one with the monster story with
Yeah,
um
yeah,
God,
and
what
I
is that
like.
called? I remember the first two are like the Illyrian Enigma and the
Yeah,
Scorpius Run, but I can't recall what the current one
yeah.
is, and it's probably in one of these comics. Oh yeah,
Oh,
Seeds of Salvation.
Seeds of Salvation. I like that one, but there's such a vast difference between the art.
Yeah,
And it's like sometimes it takes you out of the story a little bit. And I don't want to, I'm not trying to be, you know, disrespectful to any artist. I never
right.
would. But like the consistent art in Lower Decks is really appreciated. And I love that. Plus, I don't know. I don't know how really to explain it. I guess it's something that if somebody really wants to understand, go to your local comic shop and pick up Lower Decks on comics. Just buy them all. Yeah. So you understand. Now
Yeah,
I guess
for
no, go on.
me, I try and make it look as much like the show as possible. Um, and I've seen some that kind of like push, like where it's more a personal artistic style, which, I get too.
Yeah.
It's just for me, I was like, I want to make it look as much like the show. And there's like a few like little slight variations that you might do. Like, I mean, I've seen some people like draw the fingers like more long and pointy, like some like I do mine like more short and stubby like the cartoon, but then like I also like I made the boots a little bit higher than like looking like a pair of socks. But it's just yeah, I mean, you throw like a little bit of personal stuff in it. I don't know how much they let you get away. I mean, I know it goes through like uh Paramount sees it too, so like I've had things like that get caught, even like with the Strange New Worlds one, like I made Sam's mustache a little too long
Oh.
just because like when I drew it, it looked fake, even though it was like
Mhm.
how it is. But like when I drew it, it looked like it was like an afterthought add-on. So I was like, all right, I'll bring it down just a little bit. And they're like, yeah, no, you got to bring that up. And I'm like, okay,
But that's a
um,
hell of a good detail. I mean, that's
thanks.
that the fact that you gave that thought and that they were, that it's awesome that they caught it too, because
Yeah,
that tells me that they're doing a really good job at, not just going, yeah, whatever,
yeah,
they
no,
care.
no, no. I mean,
They
they'll
care. And I
yeah,
love that.
because they want it to look consistent because like fans will point it out. I mean, I've seen it when I've read things. I'm like, that's not how an L-Cars panel is supposed to look, or that's
Yeah.
that's not the side where Kirk's hair is parted on. Like, yeah, we're picky, and so I try when I'm working on it, I'm like, what are they gonna catch? Like what are readers gonna catch? What are editors gonna catch? Like I want to, it's really perfectionist on my part. Probably to my detriment at some times, like especially when it comes to deadlines. But yeah,
One
I kind of ride myself on that.
One thing I've noticed about your artwork, you're really good at realism as well. Like specifically,
Thanks.
I have it on my notes. Specifically, I have one written down and it's behind you, and that is your Shaw, the no Shaw.
Oh yeah,
You nailed that. You nailed that one. I look at that and there's no, denying who that is. So the
yeah.
realism's great. I've seen
Thanks.
those. Plus I've seen your there's one you did of Kirk and he's kissing Leia with Han
Oh
in the
yeah, yeah.
background. Love that picture. Makes me laugh every time I see it. And I just like I love that one. I think you nailed the realism really well.
Thanks.
So
Yeah,
it's
I had someone like tell me once at a show they were like, yeah, it looks like them, but it also looks like a comic book. And I'm
yeah,
like, yeah, that's what I want it, I don't want it to just be like a photo trace. Like it's like get like the and it involves like hours of tracing photos to get like a feel for okay, their eyebrows do this, their eyes are this far apart, their nose is here. Like it's a lot of that for the research, and then it's like okay, you do that, you do that, you do that, you get the repetitive motion. Now draw it how you want it to be drawn. Like minus the like look at the reference if you need to, but like now you're doing, it's like when you stare at something and you blink a bunch, and then you close your eyes and then you can like see it there like that. I forget
yeah.
exactly like what that eye trick thing is, where it's
Well,
like
it's
you
kind
look at
yeah.
something, then you look
It's like
at something, you
looking
can
at
like see it there. It's kind of
a
like that's
light.
what, yeah,
Yeah, I get it.
that's kind of, so it's like, all right, now do it as a comic book style. And
Yeah, it's good. Something I caught my attention and I was thinking about when I was looking up information on you, I saw in your Memory Alpha post that you are probably listening to a Star Trek soundtrack. And I see in your memory, and I think that's hilarious. And I see the Wrath of Khan soundtrack above your
oh
head.
yeah,
At
yeah.
least I assume it's Wrath of Khan. I can see the Enterprise at warp.
Yep.
And I'm, but so I'm curious, would that be what you're listening to right now?
Um, Earlier it was actually, so that reel-to-reel player behind me has the motion picture
Nice.
soundtrack on it. Um, so yeah, it varies a lot. Like sometimes it's records, sometimes it's reel-to-reel tapes, sometimes it's streaming stuff. But yeah, it's almost daily. There's
I know.
some, I've got like my old iPod plugged into here too, like that has like the first six, actually, I think the first 10 soundtracks. I've got the Subspace Rhapsody album in my record bin too. I've got, I think, almost every version possible of the motion picture soundtrack, except for 8 track. Like yeah, I've got the original record. I've got the director's cut record. I've got the reel to reel, which was a home recording. Got it on my iPod, like everything.
I found, yeah, see, I've got most of my Star Trek soundtracks here. Oh, and yeah, here it is. I found this one recently. It
Yeah,
was
I've got
the,
that.
I didn't know it even existed. And I ended up picking it up on a lark, not knowing it had the Inside Star Trek. Uh, yeah, yeah. And I was like, this was really good because I already had the motion picture. And like, but then again, I had like Star Treks too. It was not even Star Trek. It was just something I picked up because it had Jerry Goldsmith doing the Klingon battle from
Oh
motion
yeah,
picture. And so yeah, like I love the soundtracks as well. I'm a big soundtrack guy.
yeah,
Voyager, the 30th anniversary, which is an amazing one, and
nice.
then like the first contact one. That one thing that's kind of got me excited about this is it has the old CD-ROM, so you can tour the ship. And
Oh, cool.
but I finally found an emulator that will let me run it
Oh,
because
okay,
it was so old I wasn't able to access it. And then
right.
I saw like I seen or not Paramount, Xbox is working on a new system that's going to use. I guess they want to integrate CD-ROMs like for old computer games into it. And I was like,
Oh,
well,
okay.
that's awesome. I was like, give me that so I can put these in and play all my old computer games on the TV with an Xbox controller.
Right,
But
yeah.
yeah, I love that that Wrath of Khan and Star Trek music, man. I agree with you 100%. Like growing up, I can't tell you how many hours I spent alone just listening to it because, or even like the Klingon battle,
Oh,
music,
yeah.
you know, crank that up in a car on going down the road. Yeah,
Right.
like
Dun, 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 dun,
exactly,
dun, 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 dun,
exactly.
dun.
So many times I've done that,
Yeah,
but
I used to do that like when I first got a car. I was like driving around blaring Wrath of Khan or 89 Batman
oh yeah,
soundtrack.
there you
Like
go.
those are just amazing. I mean the Wrath of Khan one when I was like a kid, I was calling around the record stores to see who had it. Because I found one place that had Star Trek 4. And I was like, well, I know 3 is a lot like 2, so maybe 4 will be. And it was like completely different because it's all
Yeah,
like upbeat and the whales and stuff. But I found a place like half an hour away, and my mom like drove me out there to get the record
yeah.
to listen to.
I had four on cassette tape when it came out, and I wore that one out. I don't even
Yeah,
have it anymore, but yeah, I wore that one out. And you're right. I mean, the music wasn't. It was good. It set the film, but you're right.
yeah,
It was there was no battle music. you know.
yeah, yeah, yeah. No,
Post.
instead you had like that weird like smooth jazz whale song, uh,
I
and
don't even
something that
think.
sounded like the theme from what was it Running Scared with like Billy
Yeah.
Crystal and Gregory Hines?
Well, I think a lot of that was. Do you think maybe they were working on the music when they thought Eddie Murphy was going to be in the movie, and they
Oh,
wanted to?
possibly.
I mean,
I
I
always
don't.
just figured they were like, wanting to do a shift because like the like 2 and 3 were so dark and heavy stakes, and it was
Yeah.
like, all right, we need like the upbeat, like everything's happy and frolicky and stuff. Even though it's still like the fate of the world is at risk. But yeah, yeah, I've got the fourth one on vinyl, and I've actually got the CD coming in. Like I found someone on eBay that had like
Sweet.
2 through 4 or 1 through 4. No, I've already got one, so it might have been like two, three, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and I don't have 5. Like I got a record of 5, but it came like all busted up in the mail, so I just
Oh.
took the sleeve and hung it up on my wall since I don't have a poster of it.
I have some gaps to fill. Like I've got Generations.
Oh
I've
yeah,
got Voyager. 30th
yeah,
anniversary, like I showed you. I do have First Contact,
nice.
DS9, and I have Nemesis.
Oh, cool.
Um, then I did pick these up. I don't think this one has it. Television's Greatest Hits, because it had TOS on it.
Right.
And okay, no, okay, no, I did buy another one, but only because it had V. It had the music from V on it.
Oh,
And
cool.
I love V. See,
Yeah, I've
I
never
do.
listened to the soundtrack for V, but I'll check it out.
Yeah, it's definitely worth checking out, and especially if you like the movie.
Yeah.
Uh, Vernon, I know Free Comic Book Day's coming up next week when this airs, because by the time this airs, it'll be the next week. Do you have anything upcoming or anything you're excited about? Any appearances or anything?
Um, Appearances, I have no idea. I'm still waiting to hear where I'm gonna be for the rest of the year. Um, I mostly do local shows, New Orleans area. I mean, I know I'm gonna be doing Free Comic Book Day at like a local show here, BSI Comics in Metairie, which is like a suburb of New Orleans. And other than that, I mean, yeah, I just wrapped up my Lower Decks run, and so now I'm catching up on commissions. The one of which I'm also doing a poster for the Doug Drexler documentary, like the
I've seen that in the yeah, in the what do you call it? The
the Kickstarter.
Kickstarter. Yeah, I couldn't think of it was Indiegogo or Kickstarter.
Yeah. So I'm gonna be doing like a Lower Deck style poster. of like Doug Drexler kind of like in the middle of like, it's like kind of on a film set soundstage sort of thing, and he's just sort of standing there triumphantly, and there's just like chaos unfolding behind him, in the production of whatever's being filmed there. So that's what I'm working on and now, in addition to like, yeah, just commissions like over the past year, people be like, "Oh, can you do this?" And I'm like, I'm busy up until about February or March. Then after
Sweet.
that, yeah. So yeah, trying to catch up on all those. And I have no idea if I'm doing any comic stuff after that. I'd love to, especially if it's Star Trek.
Well, fingers crossed from everybody that, is a regular purchaser. And if you're not, like I tell everybody, if you're watching, go to your local comic shop, support your local comic shop. If you like comics, pick them up. Dan Slott's doing a new run of Fantastic Four. Check that out too.
Yep.
Um, it's like if you got a favorite artist or writer, I always say get a pull list. Don't miss
Yeah,
them.
absolutely. Because there's like, I know Diamond had like a warehouse of books, and I don't know if like Luna and Penguin Random House are doing that too. I'm not sure because like when I've tried getting some back issues of stuff, like they haven't been able to get it,
Yeah,
like through my shop. So definitely get a pull list. Absolutely,
yeah.
especially for monthly books. Oh, and if I could plug books to like volumes 2 and 3 of Lower Decks are currently available for pre-order. I think volume 2 comes out in a week or two, or not sure when this is coming out, but it'll hit
This will be out the
shops
week before Free
mid-April.
Comic Book Day. So
Yeah. And then the third one comes out like mid-September.
sweet. Yeah, I'll make sure it's on the screen and I'll put the pictures up and everybody knows what they're looking for. And I appreciate your time, sir. I really do. And this has been a great conversation. I look
Yeah, I
forward to
appreciate you having me
everything.
on.
Oh yeah, yeah. Anytime. If it's a chance to talk Star Trek and Star Trek
Right?
music and art, I'm all for it.
Same.
So well, all right. Well, everybody check out Vernon, follow him, check out everything you can with the lower decks and anything else. Find, Bigfoot Frankenstein if you can. I know I'm
Yeah,
gonna be on the lookout. Find
same.
that Ninja Turtles. So do you have a shop for people to pick up anything?
I do. It's which I need to update it more. It's I have a Kofi or coffee shop. I'm not sure how they
Okay.
pronounce it, but it's like KO-FI
Okay.
.com/ Vernon Draws.
All right. I'll
And
make sure it's on the
I know
screen.
I've got some of the comics up there. Like I've got a handful of issue 9 and 10 left. Um, and I think I might have 13 and 14 on there. I've got like all of the ones. I have them here if I haven't put them up on the shop yet. I've got a couple of prints up there that I've done. And maybe soon I'll put up original pages. I'm almost out of original pages from issue 9, but I've got most of the ones from issue 10 and then all the ones from the other issues too. So if anyone wants an original page and it's not listed on there, just email me
All right.
and
Sounds good.
I'll get them
All
to you.
right. Well, thank you, sir, for your time, and I look forward to everything over this busy year that you're going to have.
Thanks. Me too. Thanks for
All right.
having me.